Tony Sertich. I'm the president and CEO of the Northland Foundation. And Kerri, you're surrounded by rangers, and that is warm and welcoming. Northland Foundation is a public foundation that serves the 7 counties and 5 tribal nations here in northeastern Minnesota. And I've been working there for about 7 years. And before that, IRRB commissioner, Chisholm boy. So welcome to Chisholm as well, center of the universe. I know I'm in good company here. I know there's a lot of Chisholm folks in the room. At the Northland Foundation, we were established about 35 years ago, along with 5 other foundations that all serve greater Minnesota. They're called initiative foundations. And so 3 of us got together with Kerri and thought about having conversations, town hall type conversations around issues that matter in greater Minnesota. And so maybe you saw on the sign on the way in or saw on some of the advertising, and Kerri said they were in St. Joe yesterday talking about entrepreneurialism, talking about healthcare, and then talking about workforce. Now, here we are at the Discovery Center, and it's had many different names, but it had one person who championed it when it was built. That's Rudy Perpich. And if you just walk through that door and take a right, you'll see a room dedicated to him. And for those of you that don't know, Rudy is the only governor from the Iron Range in the state of Minnesota's history, and ran on a slogan that I'm sure 99% of the folks here could repeat after me: jobs, 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 right? Very important in northeastern Minnesota. Still important. However, demographics have changed, and if you talk to business leaders in our region, in greater Minnesota and anywhere, it's not about jobs, jobs, jobs anymore. It's about finding workers, 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 especially in this economy, especially with the demographic shift. And now, especially post-pandemic, many of the jobs of today and tomorrow can be done literally anywhere in the world. So it's about attracting workers, and it's about making connections, and about taking down barriers for those that are on the sidelines to improve their lives. And so we thought workforce would be a great conversation to have in our region. And so I want to give a thank you as well to the Handoff. We're one of the sponsors of this, to the Handoff to Minnesota North, Trent, who sent out obviously a great email. He was the person I just said, if you want to have a conversation about workforce, we got to talk to Minnesota North and talk to Trent. And so Trent did a lot of the work behind the scenes to make this happen. But I want to introduce the boss of Minnesota North, Mike Ryich, who thinks about this on a daily basis, and it helped put this all together. So Mike, come on up.
Thank you, Tony. And I also found out by email. Actually, Trent texted me the night he found out this was happening, and it was a very excited text. So good job, Trent. Thank you, Tony. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Mike Ryich, president of Minnesota North College. We are a college that has 6 campuses that covers an area the size of Maryland. What used to be West Virginia until we checked the facts and realized it was Maryland. But it is a big region, and we're proud to serve the region, and we're super excited that area for the topic of education and workforce, because that's the business we're in, and it's something we think we do pretty uniquely up here. When you consider our philanthropic partners, our social enterprises, our K-12, our higher ed system, our business and industry, our government agencies, our elected officials, we put it all together pretty well in this region, and so I think you'll hear a bit of. I do want to thank Tony mentioned that our Northland Foundation is a sponsor, and I want to thank all of the series sponsors, it be Compeer Financial and Mayo Clinic Health Systems, and Initiative Foundation, and the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, along with, like I said, our own Northland Foundation. So we're looking forward to a good conversation, and I don't want to take any more time up, so I'm going to turn it over and give a very warm welcome to Kerri Miller from NPR.
Thank you. This just feels so much more intimate. This is so nice to be able to sit in a circle with all of you. We came to Chisholm to talk about how Chisholm, with the help of Minnesota North and a lot of innovative businesses and entrepreneurs and big thinking employees are creating a nimble, creative, well-trained, well-educated workforce. That's what I'm really here to hear about tonight. We're going to hear about an innovative merger across the colleges and campuses and how that applies to the issue that we're talking about, opens more classes and experiences to students. I want to talk about what employers want and whether training programs are hitting the mark. If you're an employer, and I know there are some of you here tonight, I'd like to hear what your collaboration looks like when you're working with some of the training programs and the colleges in the area. Are you getting the kinds of applications? Are you seeing the kinds of employees show up at your business that you need, and how could that be fine-tuned? So if you own a business, and I saw some of the name tags here, please think about that. I'd love to hear from you. Most of all, I want to hear about the experiences and the suggestions of the people in our audience. I do want to say one thing. The reports that have been produced by the Center for Rural Policy and Development have been really invaluable to me as I prepared for the town hall. So they are not here tonight. They couldn't make it. They were there last night, and they'll be Tuesday in Cannon Falls. But it's been really important research for me to dig into. So I'd like to start, Mike, actually back with you about when you conceived of this idea of combining campuses and creating kind of an overall college experience. I want to know what was uppermost in your mind when you thought about the needs of the employers to whom you'd be sending these students. So let me come on over there.
Yeah. Firstly, it was a collection of a lot of people that came up with the idea, and it dates back probably to 2015. Regional strategic planning session with people from all of our colleges and community members and students. And what that led to was a conversation about, it seems like every time we try to work together to serve our business industry, we come up against each other in sort of a competitive mode, and it wasn't serving the region well. It led to an academic plan that was regional, and that plan hit the same barriers of being competitive with one another and having 5 points of contact for our business and industry people. And we realized we just needed to bring it together into one organization so that we could expand programming across the region to meet students and employers where they're at, instead of expecting them to come to our different locations. And it just really allowed us to be a more efficient organization so that we could take and invest money where it really matters, and that's our mission-centric education of our students to prepare our workforce.
Quick question. When you hear from business owners and they say, we just can't find the people we need, I mean, what's your response within your organization? Like, we're cranking them out as quickly as we can, or maybe we have to change some things. What's your immediate response to that?
My immediate response is, let's see what we can do to work together to solve that problem. The reality is we are facing the same challenge of not enough students entering our doors. If you think of us sort of as the middle person, where we take the input, the students, train them to get ready for that workforce, we need more input, just as they wish we had more output. But to not use that as an excuse, instead to be creative and work with the businesses and industries, with the workforce that they do have, and the underrepresented, underemployed people in our region, to make sure we're capturing everybody.
So could I hear from somebody who has a business? I think there is somebody here who has a welding business coming right over here. No, Chrissy, don't you run L&M Radiator?
I don't. So I'm from our South Dakota facility, and we don't have welders in our South Dakota facility. So that would be this young lady right here.
This young lady over here. Okay, she doesn't have a name tag on. She's hiding from me. All right, Susie, nice try there. No, Susie. Tell me your name and the company.
Kelly Hertling, and I work for L&M Radiator.
Okay. So what I was told before we started was that you're having a hard time hiring enough people for the work that you have. Is that true?
Correct.
Why do you think that is?
There is not enough people and not enough skilled people to do what we need them to do.
What's the level of skill with which people are walking in the door, and how far apart is that from what you need?
If we're talking about welders, we would like them to have a welding degree. But because they don't, we have worked with the colleges to do customized training to get them to, through like an apprenticeship program, to get them up to speed faster, quicker to what we need, because we need them today, not 2 years from now. And so we have to be really creative and really out of the box thinking on what we need. So not only do we work with the college, we work with the high schools to develop these people, to get them. Yeah, we have crazy programs, but that's great because we need to develop them from the high school perspective, the career pathways development, to utilize the customized training and or the 2-year programs that they provide, because ideally we want them to have those programs, but sometimes that isn't what that student can do. So we know that we need to create the workforce of today. Those students are hard to find. People are hard to get. We're all competing. We all need the same need, and that's really hard. We all need people, and they're dwindling and they're dying. And so how do we stay competitive? How do we get that? So we have to look at our future pipeline and how do we get that?
I'm going to come back to you, but what you just said about, because I'm curious to hear what that means for your business, that you can't get enough people. But let's hold on that for a minute. So, Tony, I'm interested in what you think when you hear an employer who, it sounds like, could employ as many people as could show up at their door, and that it's affecting their business when she says they're dwindling, they're dying, they're not showing up with the qualifications that they need. So what occurs to you about that?
I just think about what are the barriers for the people that are here, and what are the barriers for people to choose to live on the Iron Range.
What do you mean by that? As far as the barriers.
From I've heard from not just employers but workers themselves, is it transportation? Is it a misalignment in training? Is it childcare? Is it a housing issue? What are those other barriers that are in the way that are not letting people do that? But that's at a low unemployment rate. So I'm also thinking about what can our communities do to attract people to live in our communities? And then I think some of those same barriers pop up again.
That's such a good point, that we're in a very low unemployment rate now, and still you've got companies that can't find what they need. Ma'am, I saw you nodding when he was talking about this. I can't see your name tag, Allie, and you're with?
With North Forest. So we are a talent attraction and retention website, very hyper regional. We get folks in who are looking for jobs, and we get employers, and we kind of match them together. But then we also work on other workforce things as well.
Yeah, I'm really glad you came. What do you think when you hear they don't have the skills? We're afraid 2 years down the line, we're not going to have enough people to fill the work that we have.
Sure. Well, I got really excited when she was talking because things are happening as far as reaching down into the high school and creating those pipelines. There's a lot of really good stuff happening in this area. So, well, we're working on certain pipelines, like the Discover Healthcare event is coming up, and that's working with 10th graders to give them some hands-on experience with healthcare careers, as well as we do Construct Tomorrow. We help out with getting the 10th graders in to also get some real hands-on careers. So, yeah, things are happening.
If I heard you right, though, I think you said we need them now. We can't wait 2 years for them to graduate from high school or a training program. What do you mean for your business that they're not there?
Dollars, right? It's the bottom line. So we do actually career pathways. I feel on the spot. Okay. We do all those programs, and because we know that's where the future workforce is. So career pathways, we work with different types of pathways, right? So whether it's engineering, welding, machining, doing our own apprenticeship programs, we work with disparity groups. I hear you, Tony. I love what you have to say because it is more than that, right? It's the move to wellness programs that Diane Ricci is working with in those disparity groups. We're doing it. We're doing all of that, and we still need more. And it's housing. You asked what the issues were: housing, childcare, access, getting people up here to want to be on the Iron Range. Rural is hard. Northern Minnesota is tough. And so we need to be desirable. We have a great quality of life up here, but you still need the people. You still need to get them up here. We have more people leaving the area than wanting to come to the area. So they want internet, they want a lot of different things. And so we recruit, we have not just the general jobs and production, but we have headquarters. Our whole facility is headquartered here, and we're a worldwide company. So we have facilities all over the world. So we look at a broader picture as well. And we're open to a lot of different things. And so we get our hands dirty in a lot of different areas. So we support a lot of different things. And I'm frustrated as a recruiter, as many of us are, and that's just a fourth of what I do. And so how can we help support in all of that? Because it's a community issue, right? It's not just an L&M issue. We're all in this together. We're all trying to do the same thing. We all have shortages. I mean, I don't care if it's mining. I don't care if it's manufacturing. I don't care if it's healthcare. We all have the same issue, and we want a good quality of life here. We love our life here. We want to share it. We need workers to sustain that. So future workforce pipeline, we're digging into the high schools. We're going as young as the 10th grade. We're doing engineering programs. But you're right, we still need the workers today. So how do we get them? I mean, that's my biggest question. If you have no people to pick from, and our unemployment rate is so low, so everybody that wants a job is working. So how do you help those that aren't working get a job? How do you re-educate? How do you reskill? How do you rehome? How do you hit those people that maybe are disabled that could be working? How do you help that group get a job?
Can I ask if anybody would throw some answers out about that? Somebody who's working on this. I'll come around to Mike.
I'm going to actually direct you to two people, if you don't mind. One would be Jesselyn, the red coat, who's our Dean of Career and Technical Education and is well-versed in our Empower program, which would help address some of what Tony brought up related to barriers and some of what Kelly's talking about. And just we need to think about everybody coming to work. And then Roy, who is right next to me, could talk about the Applied Learning Institute and how it's trying to attract high school students into career tech.
Let me come over to Jesselyn. So your name and what you do.
I'm Jesselyn Sabin. I'm an academic dean with Minnesota North College in the Career and Tech program area.
What do you think when you hear her say, hey, our business relies on being able to feed great employees into it, and we are really worried about keeping it alive?
Well, I feel very lucky to work with folks like Kelly in our program advisory committees. So we're certainly aware of that need. And as Mike mentioned, one of the things that we've been able to deploy successfully is an Empower program, which focuses on supporting women in non-traditional careers, particularly those like welding, diesel, some of the other programs that we offer, and look at what are those barriers. Oftentimes, there might be a barrier that seems fairly low, like maybe somebody blew their tire and got a flat and couldn't make it to class, but that's enough to derail someone from their pathway moving forward. And so it's those quality of life things too, as was mentioned, the housing and those different supports. And some of that, we've got great networks here to navigate that, but it's hard to know where to get all the resources sometimes. And so we have a great individual, her name's Angela Heikela, that's coordinating that program for us at the college. And she's a person that's worked in career and tech herself. And so she's just really a great mentor and is good at connecting these folks to the resources that they need.
I'm going to come back to housing. We could probably do the whole hour on that, but it's a lot of issues. Yes, ma'am, you want to say something?
Yes, affordable education, 4-year degree schools on the Iron Range. They have a Iron Range engineering program that is awesome, which when you look at the price of education, at least half of it is for room and board. I've gone to many schools in the country, and it's like in studied labor history, but that's huge to get colleges here so they can stay at home and cut the costs.
Make it affordable so they can go to school right in the community.
Questioning of why has it become so expensive? It's like totally out of line. It's like, and how is financial aid, approved or evaluated? Many questions that.
Whole nother can of worms that we probably won't figure out tonight, but thank you for raising that. So Roy, if you'll tell us your name and what you do.
Sure. Roy Smith. I'm the Director of Talent Development. It's a position that I share between the IRRB and Mid-North College. So it's a rather unique position that we created going on about 17 years ago when we sort of saw the storm clouds on the horizon of the demographic shift.
Tell me a little bit about the storm clouds real quick.
Sure. Well, understanding that we have a population in northeastern Minnesota that's older than both the state and the national average. So we always say the silver tsunami was going to crash on our shores here a little bit sooner than other places in the state or in the country. So we needed to start preparing. And through, again, we're very fortunate to have really visionary leadership in northeastern Minnesota among the presidents and commissioners and elected officials here to start to be proactive. And so we put into motion, knowing that all of our workforce issues, and filling positions wasn't going to come from one source. We needed to have a workforce streams approach. And so you've heard of a couple, and another one that we put in place was this idea of the industrial arts programs that were once so robust on the Iron Range were really sort of swept out the door through, the late 60s, 70s, 80s. Expensive programs, hard to find teachers, this push to a 4-year degree. Everyone needs a 4-year degree.
I was going to ask you what effect you think it has been that we are still, I think, in a culture, although this is changing slowly, that says you're not employable unless you've been to a 4-year school.
Right. Well, I think across the country, you hear that conversation. It certainly took place. It took place here. I think what makes us unique, of course, on the Iron Range is that we're one of the only rural areas really in the country that's rural non-ag. We're a rural natural resources based economy. So most of the jobs that we have running our facilities are jobs that you can't just walk off the street and get. You've got to have some sort of training beyond high school, whether that's 1 year or 2 year. It might be a 4-year degree, but the vast majority, over 70% of the jobs that are being created now, require basically a 2-year degree and type of program.
Can I ask you this? What do you think when you hear, is it Kelly? When you hear Kelly say, we can't wait. All this sounds great, but now is the urgent moment here, and the business relies on this.
Well, again, as Jesselyn said, we're really fortunate to have a business partner like L&M Radiator in the region, and Kelly is at the table all the time, and she hit the nail on the head when she said it's not just an L&M problem. This isn't just a Min-North issue. This is an issue for northeastern Minnesota and the country. What I say is, we just keep plugging forward. We believe that much like the businesses that we grow on the range, our return on investment is oftentimes much greater when we invest in a business that's already here and we can help them grow. We believe that much of the workforce of the future is already here. It's sitting in our high schools. It's sitting working 3 jobs somewhere. They're currently working in a company and they need to be upskilled, or they're in a situation like with the Empowered program that they need some wraparound services to be able to enter the workforce.
So that means that if they're already here, you need to keep them here and not lose them to a job in the city or South Dakota or something like that.
Right. So one of the ways, and I think this was to President Ryachi's point about the Applied Learning Institute, is to address the issue of renewing career and tech ed in northeastern Minnesota. We have created a program by a massive investment in retooling our shops across 21 high schools and our 5 campuses, our 6 campuses of the college, so that individuals can pursue their passion in any of the areas that are in high growth, high demand. So we have programming at the high school level in healthcare, industrial technology, advanced automotive, construction trades, and pre-engineering. And that then allows those students to get experience at the local high school level, matriculate into one of our college's programs, and out into industry. But that's just one source.
Okay. Just some context here for listeners, and this comes from the Center for Rural Policy and Development, that when they looked at you will already know this, Roy, when they looked at job vacancies over the last 10 years in greater and rural Minnesota, they found this trend that when people retire from jobs, there are not enough workers to replace them. This is something that Kelly was saying. So here's the thing I'm curious about, and maybe someone else who hasn't spoken yet tonight, is the reason that the jobs require a particular kind of training or a level of experience and younger workers aren't getting that training or experience? Or is it just too many people have left and there just aren't the numbers to replace those retiring workers? Somebody who has not spoken tonight. Yes. Tell me about you.
My name is Sherry Marshik. I'm the executive director of the Upper Midwest Film Office. And I don't know if I can answer that particular question with any kind of data, but I do think that one of the things that our office is trying to do is to create options for people coming up in high school and college, that if they didn't want to be in the trades of those trades, that they might be other options for them to stay here so that they can live, work, and thrive here. And so our office is dedicated to developing film and TV production up here, so they can stay. I get the problem of needing to put a Band-Aid on a gaping hole of we need help now. And so what we have tried to do is work with Minnesota North and figuring out how do we give people the option to try it out and see if this might be an option for us while we continue to build the industry here, so that there's another wider industry that's available to people so that they can stay here or frankly come back here. There are a lot of people that don't want to live on the coasts anymore. They don't want to live in the city anymore, and they're attracted to what we have here on the range. And so how do we attract entire families to come and be able to live, work, and thrive here?
I talked to somebody in healthcare, Mary, a little earlier, who has, you described yourself as having roots here and you were drawn back because of your parents, right?
I grew up here, and Iron Range roots go very deep, but I wanted to be a nurse. Let me back up a little bit. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and maybe that's the thing with some young people today. They have so many choices. So my mom also was a nurse, and she took me to one of her friends at a large city hospital, and so I could see different healthcare options. And I wanted a 4-year degree at that time. And in the 70s, there was no 4-year degree program up here. And so, yes, I'm one of those that has a 4-year degree. But, and I wanted to leave because I wanted to get out of here and see different geography, meet different people. And now I kind of live in both worlds. I live in the Twin Cities, but I also have my place up here. So I go back and forth all of the time. And that's really helped me during these years of COVID. I work with kids and adults with special needs at Gillette Children's, and we have 7 clinics around the state. So a lot of people with special needs live in rural areas. So again, if there's a way to mentor young people or to give them opportunities to shadow somebody in different careers. And again, not everybody needs a bachelor's degree. These trades are very, very important. But again, to try something and to be mentors for young people. They're so confused now and have so many choices. And just advocating for kids and our future. So
I talked to a couple earlier. Here they are, right back here. Sorry, Alan. So both of you have spent the majority of your careers here? Tell me about yourself, work.
So I have a background with building construction and architectural drafting, and Amanda, and I work at a local architectural firm here.
How'd you end up here?
I'm from Hibbing.
And
So-
wanted to leave.
Well, no, not really.
No, that's not really true, or no, I never wanted to leave.
No, I lived in Duluth while I was in school, but ended up coming back when the opportunity arose. So
Were there opportunities in larger metro areas that you thought I could be advancing more quickly, I could be making more money? I mean, did you feel like there were trade-offs, I guess is what I'm asking, about deciding to stay here?
oh, definitely, I still think about that now. Yeah. Well, I've had an opportunity a year ago to explore another job in another area of the state, and I canceled the interview where I would have had the offer because I knew the money would probably make me go.
Really?
Yep. And I wasn't ready to pick up my kids and family and move. So, yeah,
Okay, so it sounds like you still think to yourself, did I make the right choice?
absolutely.
And what occurs to you about when you're thinking about the
Well, my family is here, and so that's really central to why I'm here. And I'm not ready to be away and deal with distance.
Could the day come, do you think, when you'd leave, or now the roots are here and you're staying?
I could go. When the time's right, I could go.
What do you think you'd miss most?
The community. I love my community. I'm involved out in the world there, so many people here I know faces.
Sir, tell me about you.
My name is Dave, and I retired about 2 years ago at age 50 from a full-time pharmacy position. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. Not anything. I gave up 6 figures a year to do nothing. And after working 10, 12-hour days with no break, oftentimes a 4-day stretch, bringing the same lunch day after day and not having time to eat it, I don't think there's anything anybody could offer me to go back.
I'm curious about how you decided, and you told me you were a grouse hunter, right?
Absolutely. I love hunting. And in fact, I was out early. There's no birds, just a nice walk in the woods now. But yeah, the area attracted me. I did my undergrad at Bemidji and wanted to get back to the Northland as quickly as possible. I had 3 college degrees back in 1995 and no job prospects. It was the complete opposite of now. And I think I'm employable. My GPA for chemistry was 3.98. And then I went and got my doctorate in pharmacy, and voila, every small town has one. So I was able to relocate to a rural area, have a nice 20-year career, raise my family here. But I'm kind of wondering from a different angle. I have a parent of a 19-year-old child who just graduated, and he has no motivation to go and work. He sees these jobs paying a huge amount of money, but being very unsatisfying. And then I think about my dad, who spent his entire career working at 3M. And I'm like, what made this guy go to work day after day? It's because he loved his job. And when he started in 1958, companies treated their employees different. They worked hard to retain them. They did everything they could to make it fun. I look back at the stuff that Dad had at his disposal at 3M. There was an airplane club. There was all sorts of organizations that he was involved in outside of work. He was fiercely loyal to the company. And where has that gone?
Let me ask you about that 19-year-old, though. Is he here? No, I don't mean here tonight. I mean, is he in the area? So do you want him to be able to stay in the area? Do you think when he finally decides what he wants to do you think he will be able to?
As long as he's got a computer, he's happy. He's a gamer. And that's what a lot of these kids, they're stuck in La La Land. And it demonstrates tonight what the problem is. How many people here are over the age of 30?
How many people are over the age of 30? Not everybody, no.
Young people here. They're not.
Yeah, well, they don't come to this kind of stuff. Usually not, no. But I think we're seeing a range of experience and age and background, right?
You know, I begged the social worker at his high school to fail him. 2 weeks before he graduated the spring, he had 4 Fs and a D minus. So you tell me, if you're an organization that's handing out grades and degrees, if you're graduating somebody that's not motivated like that to get them out the door, what kind of product are you producing?
See somebody you want to hire, Kelly? Because he's like, right, right, right. Who else has a business or is working with employers to bring in enough employees? Yes, please do. Thank you. Let me come around the back here. Okay, it's Leo.
Leo Lucas. I'm an instructor for Minnesota North for the construction trades. And I've created a process where we have a 1-year carpentry program, and then the second year is an internship. And it's a learn to earn model, and where they can go out and work with the different contractors throughout the region. And they still come to us and receive education throughout the entire year. And so they have an opportunity to grow and to get instruction and support, but yet they're out there in the industry working after the first year.
What do you think about this idea of you may get them through high school here, but they go to college potentially somewhere else. They don't go to Minnesota North. And then you're losing that kind of pipeline for business around here. I know that happens often.
So we just have to work really hard at showing them what kind of life we have and what is available, and then the barriers that are being broken, and that we can actually have a livable wage and an enjoyable life here. And I think that's the key to showing the students. And like I partner and I'm a coordinator for the construction and industrial trades for ALI that Roy spoke of. And I think that they're at the 9th and 10th and 11th and 12th grade levels. And we partner with the high school instructors to show them that there is a livable wage. This is an amazing place to grow and raise a family. And there is opportunity.
Trent, will you speak to this? I'm sure, well, I don't, your family is deeply rooted in this part of Minnesota. Was it just a given that you would always live and work here?
No. So ironically, while my extended family is deeply rooted here in Chisholm, the center of the universe, I actually grew up in the Twin Cities. And so I'm one of those folks that I did my 2-year at our Minnesota North College Hibbing campus. And I was always, they called me a displaced ranger. Because for some reason I wanted to come up here from the cities. And at the time they thought that was crazy. I think the tenor of this conversation so far seems a little bit doom and gloom. And I think that the best days are ahead for northeastern Minnesota and rural northeastern Minnesota. I think we're just starting to find our feet, specifically on the Iron Range with regard to like different amenities that we have. And we're starting to utilize those as recruiting mechanisms. Like right here on this site is a world-class mountain biking trail that's starting to rejuvenate this region. So that's just one example. I mean, we have outdoor recreation all year round, depending upon what your favorite flavor is, right? So if you like ice fishing, that's something you can do in the winter. If you like hunting, deer hunting, I deer hunt right on my property, but I grew up in the Twin Cities, so it's this weird sort of dichotomy that exists. But I do think we sell ourselves short a little bit. I think there's been a stereotype associated with the Iron Range that I think is not true. And I think our slogan with Minnesota North College now is to head north, because everybody likes to come up and recreate up here. When you're on I-35 and you're at that split, where 35W and E come together, there's a traffic jam there on Fridays. Why? Because it's great up here. And we just need to do a better job of telling our story and leaning into that a little bit.
I saw our friend with the film board nodding at that. Do you think the story is not, if you were going to write the story of this, what would it sound like?
I
I think this is a really amazing place to live. And I don't personally live here. I actually live in Duluth.
She lives in Duluth. She said she lives in Duluth.
Did you feel that? But I grew up in a town of 432 people, and I moved away from that town because I didn't think that there was anything for me. And I see what is available here. And we see when we talk to people, they say, oh my gosh, you can actually buy a house here and you can actually do things here. And they're excited about it. So I have this advantage of being able to see people from outside going, holy cow, this is a gold mine. And we're like, actually, it's not a gold mine. But anyway. And I think that I hear it regularly. And I totally agree with Trent that we're a little bit selling ourselves short. I feel the pain, though. I feel the pain of people not being able to do what they need to do for the next 2 steps in front of them. And I see that, but we try a lot to think about what could be and what will be, and that isn't that far down the road. And we have to allow ourselves to dream that in order to see it, in order to make plans and actually achieve it.
Ricky, you want to do it? You are.
I'm Ricky McManus from the Upper Midwest Film Office also. And I'd like to dovetail on what Trent said as well as Sherry, because we bring people in from other areas. And when they see what we have here, they get really excited. And so far, we've had 3 people that have bought homes here that had never been here before. Oh, no, 1 had. But we have other people that are asking about real estate. People are looking to see what we have here. And some of us that have lived here for so long, sometimes we lose sight of the blessing that we have around us, the community that we have around us, the beauty we have around us. And it's not like that on either coast right now. And so I'm optimistic about people wanting to be here. My fear is I don't want to be too crowded.
That's projecting kind of down the line, though, right? You don't want the secret to get out. I do want to talk about housing, Tony, and I thought I would come back to you on this. I mean, this is a problem in the metro, throughout the state, and in many cities. What do you do about affordable housing up here and having enough of it?
Well, I certainly think there needs to be a public investment. And when I hear the narrative change, I want to just add to that as well. You know, we hear a lot about our children leaving, and that's just naturally going to happen wherever you live in the world. And I think it's okay. I think we need to embrace it, because when they leave, they gain those experiences and other opportunities, and then potentially have the chance to bring it back. And I think that's the key. Kind of to Kelly's point, the 10th graders are in 10th grade. You can't get them for 2 more years. But the former Rangers and people who are Iron Range curious about living here can boomerang back. That's who I think we need to attract. But then put yourself in their shoes, as I do. You know, a bunch of my range friends left too. And when we sit around the campfire and we're fishing, you ask the question, what's going to bring you back? And it's not a job anymore, because you can get a job anywhere. It's the schools for their kids. It's the housing. It's the amenities. And we're not going to be for everybody, but for the people who want to live minutes away from their cabin and are okay living hours away from the Mall of America instead of the other way around, those are the people we need to attract. And so I think those boomerangs, and the Center for Rural Policy data shares that too. The greatest growth in greater Minnesota is not about keeping your young kids. It's about late 20s, early 30s, and 40-year-olds coming back to greater Minnesota. So what are we doing to attract them? What do we need to do? Put ourselves in their shoes. And we've got a great story to tell, I think.
You sound like you're looking at more mid-career people who have gained experience somewhere else and now are really focused on quality of life in those middle years.
Absolutely. And they're bringing kids to our schools, and they're bringing new ideas from outside of our region. And as Rangers, let's be honest, outsiders, we have nicknames for them and everything, but we have to be more welcoming and remember our roots. We are founded on so many ethnicities coming to this region and joining together across different cultures. And we have that opportunity to do it again.
What are those nicknames you have for outsiders? Do you want to share those? Huh? At the bar later. Okay. Sir, I see you nodding back here. I told you I was coming back here eventually. Travis, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a teacher here for the high school. I'm a 7th grade history teacher as well as the athletic director for the local school. I also am a city councilor here I don't call it the center of the universe. My phrase is heartbeat of the Iron Range. All right, right here in Chisholm. And you know what? Tony's spot on. One of the things that we struggle with, Chisholm is a booming city. And contrary to what some people might think, that's 100% true. And I'm not being biased. What we do in this city is crazy compared to other cities around the range. So there's my plug for Chisholm. But what we don't have is housing. And we're also built on bedrock, which makes it even more difficult. And when we ask for money, we don't get it because the cities gets it and Duluth gets it.
When you ask for money from the state legislature,
Yeah.
you don't get it because why?
We don't get the shares that other big cities get, but yet we have the same problems. And it's unfortunate because we are booming and we have people who want to move here but can't, because when a house goes on the market, within 2 hours there's 10 offers on the house. I mean, it's crazy. It's a
What's
great
the
problem to have,
yeah?
but it's not a great problem to have because we don't have enough housing.
What is the near solution to that? Not the long range, but the short range solution to that.
Well, I think, like we're working on housing development. I think, the transition to maybe higher end apartments is something that is becoming more of a trend. So as a city, we're looking into that. But, and then to speak on the workforce side of things, it's interesting because my dad was a miner for 39 and a half years, workaholic, overtime. Great. We grew up and we had a great life. I don't want to work overtime. So those hours that my dad filled, I won't fill. So they have to recruit more workers, so there's that part of it too. People my age and younger don't want to work overtime. So those jobs that require that, it's a little tougher to get them, and then there's pay, my pay is a lot more than what my dad got paid, and I make a good living and I don't have to work overtime. And so the trades is tough, it's a tough market for them, but I agree with everybody. I agree with Trent. This is the best place to grow up. I'm lucky enough to say that my entire family is still in Chisholm. My sister just moved back here and we're from Wisconsin.
I mean, we can all understand that, right? She would leave Wisconsin. Yes, ma'am. Housing? Okay.
I'm a retired RN, worked at Hibbing Community College tutoring the RN students and helped with the CNAs. I'm a PAC secker, been in Minnesota for 20 years, Michigander, not a Wisconsinite, but I hear that the technical colleges working with the high school to coordinate things. Am I hearing that correctly? Okay, I think we need to start younger. We need to go to the students who are junior high and elementary. We need to go back to going into the grade schools, talking about what we do. You mentioned modeling. We need to bring those students to where we work, show them what we do, talk to them in the classroom about what we do and the importance of how we feel about what we do. We need to do that kind of, we need to start with the children young, bring them up that way and start young. That doesn't do anything for now, but it does help the future.
Travis, did you say you teach 7th grade? What do you think of that idea?
I think she's absolutely right. I'm lucky enough that my sister is involved in Iron Range mining. And so she's going to come and talk to my 7th graders about mining and educate them. I think there's a lot of miseducation for up in this area from people who don't live here, and I don't know how everyone feels about Duluth, but there's a lot of Duluth people that don't understand up here. They're miseducated on the things that we offer up here. So
yeah. Let me go over to your sister. Where did you are Kristen?
Yes, Kristen Baki. I'm the executive director of the Iron Mining Association.
Where did you come from? I hope it wasn't Duluth, given
Chisholm.
no, where did you come from to move back?
Oh, that was our other sister. But I did actually, this is interesting. I was an intern when Tony was commissioner of the IRRB. And he said the same thing. He just said, we want, it's okay if students want to leave and go to a school elsewhere. The thing that brought me back, because I did leave to get my bachelor's and then I left again to get my master's degree. And what brought me back was the connections I made with mentors in the industry. I think that's a big thing that we're missing. People can leave and many will come back for family, but if there's not another connection to a potential job, a career, then they might not know what they're coming back to. And so I think that's somewhere we could really focus our attention. In fact, the Iron Mining Association, we shifted our entire focus to really try and come up with solutions to the problems that our producers and vendors and suppliers are having in filling these jobs. It's easy to say they're really great pay and you can live and work here and it's wonderful. And it is. And that's all very true. Mining provides some of the best paying jobs in the state. But how do we bring them back? And so that's a big focus of ours is educating. And we're starting as young as elementary schools, telling the kids what mining is and what they're seeing from Highway 169 at Hibbing Taconite. And so I think the more we talk about it and the more we share our story, not only will people outside of the Iron Range understand and get a better grasp of what's happening here, but people right here will get a better grasp of what's happening and what the opportunities are.
I love how practical this conversation has become. This is great. Sean, yes, tell me a little bit about yourself and about what you've heard.
My name is Sean Husky. I'm the manager for workforce strategy and talent pipeline development at Essentia.
How do you get the kind of people that you want? And what do you think about this strategy of reaching people, kids when they're young, or luring mid-career people back? Is that going to solve it?
I think it's definitely going to help. We've been working with Arrowhead Agency on Aging and some other organizations on scrubs camps and a lot of other initiatives to kind of do the exact same thing. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I'm getting interviewed by Kerri.
You're doing well. You're doing very well. So you're opening up camps and you are reaching out to kids at what age level?
So scrubs camps are a fantastic initiative that's been going on for quite a few years up here, where students get to participate and in hands-on healthcare activities. They get to wear scrubs. They get to be in that type of environment. They get to use those types of tools. And right now that's geared mostly towards high school students. But I agree with everyone that stated that needs to go earlier in the process. And we've had conversations with HOSA, Summer Hagee runs that organization, about getting into middle school and exposing them to different opportunities that exist in healthcare, not just the traditional doctors and nurses, but all the other occupations that exist. And I mean, there's so much that they can participate in and do, and much to what everybody was saying, to do that here, to participate with that on the Iron Range. And a lot of that training is available through Minnesota North.
I want to ask, these are solutions that are really interesting, then somewhat unexpected. I guess I didn't realize I was going to hear as much about this. Is there anyone here who stay, but you kind of fear that they're going to have to, go to the cities or, God forbid, go to Duluth to get an education, and you might kind of lose to your community. Anybody in that situation? Come on, some of you have kids. No, nobody has children here. Wow, it's amazing. You do.
I'm kind of in the same camp as Tony. I would like her to go and experience different things. And I know, Ben Winchester's done a lot of research on brain gain, and there's a good opportunity those individuals will come back, like my daughter and stuff. But I want her to have that opportunity, like you were talking about, to go and experience the world and then come back here with that knowledge and bring that innovations and things that she might have learned out there back home, I guess.
Okay. Anybody have a thought on that? I'm going to go back to Kelly. I think we've been going about an hour. What time is it? Yep. Yes, we have. So, Kelly, you kind of started us off on a roll here, a good one, because you raised a lot of the issues that that are part of the dimension of this. Okay, so tell me what you think you've heard. We've heard some really practical kinds of solutions, both short range and long range. Does that, well, I just want to ask you an open-ended question about what you think about what you've heard and what it means for your prospects with your business.
You want to ask?
I do.
You do. Okay. So what's your question?
That is the question. What you think about what you've heard and how that fits with your prospects for your business.
That's really tough. That's a really tough question because we've done a lot. There's a lot of talk. It's time for action. So I guess my question is, what are we going to do about it? Right? We keep having the slogan of L&M does, work where you play, trying to attract people, just like all of you. Tony, you made a really good point. We've been there, done that. We've done a lot of these things. Address the housing issue, the child care issue, just L&M as its own organization. It's bigger than L&M, and I keep saying that. We all have this issue, and if we want people, we have to figure out where we're going to get them together. We're partners, right? All of us, and we all need people. We want to not only keep our youth, but attract people, right? So how are we going to do that together? We're in it together. We have a great quality of life up here. And so I'm still asking myself, how are we going to do that? And how are we going to do that, raising our voices together and coming together as a team to do that? Because I can't do it alone. L&M certainly can't do it alone. I got people coming in that can speak one language and it's not English. So where are ESL classes? Because I need them. They want to work for us. And I'm figuring out how I'm going to make English now Spanish or French or whatever, because that's my next option. I'm okay with that. I will pilot any program. I have piloted a lot of craziness at L&M. And you know what, people, that it's working. It is absolutely working. We talk about strengthening the youth because I think that's our future pipeline, right? I think we can vouch for that, right? The STEM classes, and I focus on manufacturing because that's obviously where L&M is at, right? But it's healthcare, it's all of our industries. It doesn't matter what industry it is. It's 4-year programs, it's our 2-year programs, it's no programs. I will train somebody. I will do an apprenticeship program. I will get somebody their GED. I mean, I'm to the point where I don't care. I will help. L&M, not me, L&M is a great supporter of whatever we need to do to help get workforce. Hear rural. You talk about rural voices while we're speaking, we need help. So that's all of us needing help. So if you got some help in your pocket, I think all of us would take it. I don't have the answers, but I think there's a lot of us in this room that could probably put our heads together to figure it out. I mean, I just asked Roy the other day, how do we help with immigration and refugees? Because that's the point that I'm at. I don't know where the rest of you are at, but I know where we're at. We need workers. And I want people that want to stick and stay. And I'm looking at our people that are here, that love our area, that love our culture. I am now in the category of an adopted ranger, just so y'all know. I was not born and raised here, but I love it so much that I feel like I was. And so, and I'm really sorry, Tony, that I was offering you a piggyback ride into the pavilion. I'm just going to say that right now. That's our range mentality up here. I'm just offering you a ride.
Let me say this, Kelly, I'm really glad you were here tonight because you kind of opened up the conversation to a lot of the things that I wanted to get to, and your commitment and concern is really evident. And I think you're going to speak for a lot of the people who will hear this too. This was also, as I said earlier, a really practical conversation, and that is much appreciated. We didn't want to talk at, 30,000 foot level. We wanted to hear, what are you doing now? What do you see ahead that you can solve some of these issues? So I'm really grateful that you brought all your experience and your commitment to the region and your concerns to the discussion tonight. So thank you all very much. Little applause for yourselves. Okay. And we're gonna, I was gonna say we're gonna chop up some of the video here. We're gonna make little video vignettes that will go up. She's gonna be in it for sure. Yeah. No, a lot of you are gonna be in that. And then hopefully the audio we're going to edit down some of the audio, but that will be available as well. So I really appreciate you all coming tonight. If any of you happen to be near Cannon Falls, we're going to be there next Tuesday. Well, you never know, Tony. I think I talked our healthcare nurse there into this. We've got one last Rural Voice conversation, and that will be about rural healthcare. So if you have a view on that and you happen to be there, I'd love to see you next Tuesday night in Cannon Falls. All right. There's cookies and brownies, and thank you again for being here.